Okay, good morning and welcome to YouTube Just Daf. Today's Daf is Nedarim Daf Nun Zion number 57. Today is Hanukkah. If you didn't know, that's why I have these menorahs in the background. No, I think there's only 7 candles on these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Reminiscent of the Beis HaMikdash, not Hanukkah. Why Hanukkah is different than the Beis HaMikdash? That we'll have to talk about in a different share. Maybe a special share for Hanukkah. I don't know. I thought Yeshiva YouTube was finished. Is there a place in my heart to give a share on the hashkafa of Hanukkah? Maybe. We'll see. I've been urged to do it by some people, so I'll think about it. I like to be very rigid in terms of my structure, but maybe there is a place in my heart for a hashkafa share on the inyanim of Hanukkah. I think a lot of people probably enjoy that. All right, the Mishnah says, Konam Peiros Ha'elu, top of Nun Zayin and Aleph, Konam Peiros Ha'elu, Alai. We've had this Mishnah quoted a number of times. The certain fruits are usher to me. Konam Hein Alpi, Konam Hein Lapi. He specifies these fruits are usher to my mouth, or they're usher to my mouth. Very similar language. Not only is he usher in those peiros, he's usher in anything he exchanges those peiros for. Or if he plants the seeds from those peiros and something grows, he also can't get benefit from that. However, he says that peiros are usher to me and only regarding eating or tasting it. Right? He didn't usher the actual fruit in its entirety. He only ushered the eating of it, not the hana. So therefore, he's mutter to get anything he exchanges for those fruits, or if they grow, the seeds grow into something else. He's mutter to get benefit. Only b'davar shezar l'kala, however, it only applies by fruits and vegetables, where if you replant the seed disintegrates in the ground and it grows a new plant. Avodar she'ein zar l'kala. For example, onions. Right, when you plant a bulb of an onion, the bulb of the onion doesn't decompose; it just grows bigger into another onion, so it's still there. Then even the things which grow for it, right? Because it's really still there. The onion is still there. So even when I planted it and I replant the thing that grew, it's still doing 100 grows. It's still aser. Even if he says shani ochel shani tom. He says to his wife, Kona ma'aseh decha alai. Normally the ma'aseh dayim, a woman, is what she cooks, what she makes for you. So anything that you cook or make is aser. Konam hein alpi, they're aser on my mouth. Konam hein lipi, he says they're aser to my mouth. Aser b'chilufein dulayin. Not only is he aser to get benefit from the food, anything he exchanges the food for, or if he takes the food and he plants it, he's still aser to get benefit from the gidulim. Shani ochal, shani toim. Whatever he says, I'm only asering them in respect to eating them and tasting them. Mutar b'chilufein uv'gidulayin. He's mutar in what he exchanges for, what grows from them. B'davar shezar l'kala, something. Again, this only talks about a fruit or vegetable where the seed decomposes. Even if he only answered achila and te'ima, nonetheless the growth and subsequent growths are aser. The Mishnah continues, not really relevant to the first 2 cases of the Mishnah. Shad osa any ochel at Pesach, anything you make for me. Right, any food you make for me is aser out of Pesach. Let's say he's standing right now. Right now, it's December. Right now, it's Chodesh Kislev, the end of Kislev. Anything you make for me is aser out of Pesach. Shadose, anything you make for me, any miskasa out of Pesach. I'm not going to wear it, or I'm not going to benefit from it until Pesach. Also, the Pesach, she made a garment for him the Pesach, or she made food for him the Pesach. Motelechol, liskasa achar Pesach. After Pesach is over, he can benefit from it. He only aser until Pesach. However, he said, Shad osa out of Pesach, anything you make from now until Pesach, any ochel. Shad osa out of Pesach, any miskasa. He says, anything that you make food or you make clothing for me until Pesach, I will never get benefit from that even after Pesach. Also, Pesach, if she made it for Pesach, also Pesach, even after Pesach, he said clearly in his nether, it's aser for him to get benefit. I don't know why the Mishnah is saying these cases. It seems pretty obvious from the language of his nether. Shas dentistly out of Pesach, if he says, you can't get benefit from me until Pesach. Right? Again, we're now in Kislev. He says, you can't get benefit from you now until Pesach. It includes Tashmish Hamita, or the man cooks for his wife, or makes clothes for his wife. Cooking for his wife is possible. I don't know how many men know how to sew. I don't think that's one of the... I think sewing is like the one thing that women really only know how to do. A lot of men know how to cook. Even the best chefs are cooks. However, to sew is not really a man's field. Fashion can be a man's field. I'm a fashionista. But I don't make my own clothes. Amazon makes the clothes for me. I pay money and Amazon makes the clothes. Can't get benefit from until Pesach. If you go to your father's house until Sukkot, now Sukkot is way off. Sukkot is way off in Tishrei, the upcoming Tishrei. So therefore, Halachal Pesach, if she went to her father's house Pesach, he only asked her to get benefit from him until Pesach. So if she, fulfills that Tanai, the stipulation for it to take effect in Neder, she went before the Chag, right? She happened to go before Pesach also, but before Pesach is before a Chag. So then she can't benefit until Pesach. After Pesach, she could. La'achara Pesach. However, if the case was that she got benefit from the guy, right? She said, I'm not going to go to my father's house. And she benefits from the guy. They have Tashmish Hamita. They are together before Pesach. And then she decided after Pesach, she gets into a fight with her husband and says, I'm going to my father's house. I'm leaving. Right? So the Gemara says, the Mishnah says, on top of Nun Zayin Rabbeinu, Bal Yachal. She violates Bal Yachal retroactively. When she goes to her father's house, she invokes that Tanai of going to her father's Adachag until Sukkot. And what the benefit that she got for Pesach now becomes Asr B'Bal Yachal retroactively. Whether she gets Malchus or not, hard to say because the Tanai came after the Maisa, so I don't know if she gets Malchus or not. If he forbids her from getting benefit until Sukkot. If you go to the Tanai, if you go to your father's house at Pesach, right? So this is more simple in this case. Pesach, if she fulfilled the Tanai, she went to her father's house before Pesach, Asur by Nasu Chag, so then she can't get benefit until the Chag. Umuteres leilechachar Pesach. However, part of the deal was that she only forbids her the neder only takes effect if she goes to her father's house out of Pesach. If she didn't go out of Pesach, of course she can go after the Pesach, because what's the difference? The neder will never kick in. It's only based on a Tanai that she goes before the Pesach. The Gemara says, "Omer leishta kono ma'iksedecha alai kono lipi kono him alpi kono him lipi." So the Gemara discusses Yishmael ish kfar Yamo. He was from a village called Yamo. The Amri la ish kfar Di Yamo, a place Di Yamo next to the sea. Hela biyado batzal she'akro b'shvius v'nato b'shminas. Doesn't meaning either he held it up in his hand or he brought up the topic. Let's say you have an onion. Last year in Israel was shvius, right? She'akro b'shvius. It started growing during shvius, and you ripped it out of the ground in shvius v'nato b'shminas. You replanted it on the 8th year. Rabu gidulav alikaro. Right? It grew a certain amount during shvius. Now shvius, you're not allowed. Once there's shas beer, you're not allowed to benefit. You have to get rid of your house. You have to burn it. You have to make it hefker. There's certain halachas that apply to shminas. Kedusha shvius, you can't do certain. You can only eat it. You can't use it for mekka kol memkar. Let's say you replanted during shminas, and now 2/3 of the growth is from shminas. So Rabbi Gedulav Yikaro Haki Kami Bar. This is the question he asks. Gedulav Heter Yikaro Aser. Right? The main part, the foundation of the plant is Aser. But the Gedulav Mutter came on to Rabbi Gedulav Mikaro Osan Gedulav Heter Malin Aser. Do we say it's batal barov, right? Rov of this batal growing during the 8th year. So it's batal, it's mavatel. And you could eat the entire onion without Kedusha Shmita because batal barov. Olo. Or do we say not? Also come to Rabbi Ami. He came from Rabbi Ami. Rabbi Ami didn't know the answer. Also made Rabbi Yitzchak Nafka. Yitzchak Nafka had an answer. Pasha Leiman Hada. He answered it from the following statement. Amar Rabbi Chanina Trisa. Amar Rabbi Yanai. Basal Shal Truma Shnatu Rabu Gedulav Alikaro. Mutter. Yeah, basal of Truma. Before we were talking about Shemitah. Now we're talking about Truma. Right? Shnatu Rabu Gedulav Alikaro. Right? The original basal was Truma. He set it aside. He had 100 onions, and Truma is recommended 150. So two of the onions he separated as truma, right? And then he replanted it, right? When you replant it, so most of the replanting only, right? It replanted it and, it tripled in size now, or doubled in size. Double in size, that wouldn't help you, but it tripled in size, right? So now there's 2-to-1 ratio of Gedulei Heter, which are not Truma. Now, part of the Gedulei Heter are a little bit Truma, but only a fractional part. So you have Batal Bar over here. So what do? What's halacha? Mutter. So he says it's mutter in that case. The whole thing, even the part that was Truma, is converted to not Truma. As Batal Bar means the whole thing is nullified and it's completely chulin. So when Rabbi Yirmiyah heard about this, he said to Rabbi Chanina, he said to Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha, you left two statements and you favored one statement. There's two statements going against you. You have a young sapling tree during the first 3 years of its growth. So a fruit tree during the first 3 years of its growth, the fruits are treated as orla. So you grafted it with an older tree that was, older than 3 years. We bought peros. And this younger tree had fruits on it. Even though now you grafted it to an older tree, and now it grew 200 to 1 ratio. It was a very small apple. And now it grew 200, a huge apple. 200 to 1 ratio, which normally is, right, 200 to 1 is mavatal orla. Aser, nonetheless, is aser. We don't say bittul. Amar Rishon Bar Nachmani, another statement. Rabbi Yonasan, you have an onion, you plant it in a vineyard. And when you plant something in a vineyard with grapes over there, it becomes kilaya kerem. Menekar kerem. Then you got rid of all the vines and what happened? You got rid of all the vines. And the onion continued to grow. And the onion now has 200 of heter after you already got rid of all the grapes of heter against the one of kilaya kerem. Aser. Nonetheless, it's aser. We don't invoke Batal Barov or Batal B'matayim, which was Kilaya Kerem and Orla. So he came back in front of Rabbi Ami, and he answered it. Apparently, at this point, the Gemara was saying it should be us. We don't say Batal Barov. He answered it from another place. The Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Litra B'tzalim Shetikna V'zara Misaser Safi Kula. Let's say you have a liter of B'tzalim. Now, a liter usually is a measurement for liquids, but I guess you can measure solids also by displacement. So a liter of onions, you took off Trumas and Maestros from that liter, let's say 10 onions or something like that. Misaseres Lafi Kula. Alma Osen Gedulin Mavach and Ikar. Right? If you got mixed up, you had 10 onions now, right? That you took off Trumas and Maestros for, right? And then you mix them together. Or it grew. The onions grew. What happened exactly? Sorry, I missed the word. Vizara. You replanted the onions, these 10 onions, right? So, Misaseres Afikula, we right, you replanted it. So now, anything that's replanted, right, the new growth obviously is chayav in Trumas and Maestros, right? So, right, Trumas and Maestros is, let's say, 2 out of 100, 1/50th. Meiser Rishon is 1/10th, etc. So, therefore, once you have a growth that it doubles or triples in size, these onions, these 10 onions. So when you take Trumas and Maestros, you don't only calculate Trumas and Maestros from the new growth. You also calculate the part of the Trumas and Maestros, the onions that already took off Trumas and Maestros. So they were chulin lagamre, and now they go back because of bittul barov and are chayiv and Trumas and Maestros again. So you see, it works the opposite. Bittul barov works l'chumra. The gedulin nullify the ikar, even though the ikar was part of Trumas and Maestros. You took off Trumas and Maestros already. It goes and is mechadesh, is reinvigorated, and you chayiv and Trumas and Maestros again, even the ikar. So the Gemara says, so you see what? You see Gedula and Batla the Iker. So the Gemara says, Dilma the Chumra shiny. Maybe that's different over there because that's the Chumra. We're using Bit of a road to be Machmir. So the Machmir, maybe the Rabbanan, they're Machmir in a situation like this because we're not sure what to do. It's a Safek Del Raisa. chayav and shumas and ma'isa. So therefore, we're misafek, we're machmir. However, when it comes to kula, to say that gedulim are mvatal the ikar, that we don't rely on. It's a suffix. Again, we go l'chumra, suffix the so l'chumra. We wouldn't rely on that to mvatal the ikar if you want to go l'kula. The Gemara is not done with the discussion. The Gemara will continue this discussion tomorrow. You have to wait till tomorrow to finish this discussion. I do have a point. I didn't finish this sugya. I've learned Masechtas Nedarim numerous times. I don't remember exactly how the sugya ends, but at this point in the sugya, I have what to say, something unique to say over here. The difference between truma and the two cases where the Gemara proves that gedul and armavatal the ikar is by truma and by shvius, as opposed to kilaya, kerem, and orla, where it's not. I have an easy distinction why it should work in one place and why it shouldn't work in another place, not because the Dilma al-Khumra is shiny. A more fundamental reason, you're going to want to stick around for Enoch Ben Sion, where I'll tell you that fundamental is so a foundation to rely on. Stay tuned, Enoch Ben Sion coming up.